Hey, we're Mile 25.
We'd just like to thank you guys for supporting the new album. All original tunes on this one, stuff we're really excited to show you guys. The fact that we're doing this is pretty wild. So, yeah, we just can't thank you enough for all your support. Thanks.
And just in case you don't like the album, buy it anyway.
Anything, Marcel?
No, I'm good, buddy. I got my boys here.
That's all you got.
That's all.
That's all you need. How the band got started? Well, it was probably about... Well, I'll just integrate this with meeting your man Peter there. Back a while ago, we're all still in high school, I just get a text right out of the blue from this random dude on Facebook Messenger or something saying that, hey, I heard you play drums, looking to start a band. And then I text back, I said, well, nice to meet you. My name is Carter, this was Peter.
I found Carter on Facebook as well. I seen in his profile picture, I think it could have been an Air Cadet band or it could have been some kind of Christmas concert. Anyway, it was him behind a drum kit, and I messaged him right away and I said, hey man, you're a drummer, I'm looking for a drummer to be in this band. And I'm pretty sure he was pretty caught off guard by that, you know, just this random stranger messaging him and saying, you know, I want to start a band. And that's just kind of the person I've been, you know, ever since.
Like he was just hard up for a drummer, I think he must have been, because I wasn't much of a drummer at that point. I probably had owned a drum kit sketchily for like a year.
Well, Carter, we grew up together, so I'll say I met him in kindergarten, playing with the sandbox and everything like that, reading books. And then stumbled across Peter around 2014 when he released the song "Here Comes Summer." But since Take Down was a good song.
I remember I first met Marcel. He approached me on Facebook. He said, hey man, we're around the same age. I'm a guitar player. I really like your music. You know, if you ever need anybody to jam with, anybody to gig with, whatever, like hit me up. This was when I was like 14 or 15. I released my first single, "Here Comes Summer," kind of a summer anthem. At that point, you know, on Facebook and YouTube to, you know, share it with my friends. And yeah, he just, you know, he kind of just made that connection with me ever since. And you know, we've been buddies ever since.
We started talking for a couple years. We finally met up and started a band. I filled in for bass actually. We played battle bands and a bunch of different gigs. And Matt's a funny story, boy. Well, it's not really funny, I guess, but met Matt in grade 7, so 9 years ago. He was my tutor, my math tutor, and I can't get rid of him. He's always around.
Matt is the funniest, craziest character I know. Again, I was playing in another band with him. This one was with Matt and Marcel, and we were just a Canadian cover band. And you know, I met Matt for the first time, and he never shut up. You know, Matt is just the comedic of the group, honestly, and he doesn't even try to be, but he's just the funniest guy I know, and I've had just a blast playing music with him. You know, he's not a bass player, you know, by first choice. He's kind of picked it up, you know, afterwards when he found out we needed a bass player, but he's a great musician and a great vocalist.
Well, Carter and Marcel, two of them, they're from the bitch themselves, and you know, we back years ago, I believe, when we were still in high school, me and Marcel used to play guitar a bit here and there, and Carter did a couple times now. Not guitar, he's not much of a guitar player, but and not much of a drummer either, to be truthful, but he's alright. And there was a few times we got together with Carter, but for the most part, I knew him from just being around high school and in town, and we, me and Marcel, I think, got involved with Peter a few years ago when we just started playing a bit of instruments and jamming to some cover songs of Canadian rock. So I think that's how most of the music started there for that.
Well, Mile 25 started, I don't want to take full credit there, but I messaged the boys, and me, Peter, and Carter had a band before, and I said, boys, we got to give it one more go. We're too good, we had too much fun. So I guess I will take full credit. And we started writing this song, Riverside Drive, and it just clicked. And now you're listening to our album.
Marcel just flat out said, like, why don't we actually give it a proper go, right? Rather than just play around out in the shed and do this and do that. Like, we have too much fun together, and we're too, like, our chemistry's too good not to at least try it. And yeah, Peter came up with the lovely name, Mile 25, and...
Bullshit, I did.
False.
Not did.
And yeah, Marcel come up with the lovely name Mile 25, and we were off to the races.
The success with Riverside Drive and you know what we've been able to achieve just locally for a young band is incredible. You know, Riverside Drive, as we've said in previous interviews and previous you know videos, it was kind of just supposed to be a one-off. Just you know, if nothing else, let's make a fun music video. Let's make a song. See what our friends and family think, and you know, see what happens from there. And it kind of just took off ever since. I mean,
I got involved with the band, it was back in July actually, 2019. They all needed a bass player and no one to do it, so originally it was just to shoot the first video, but up to that point I hardly picked up a bass in my life. I was a guitar player, so I got a loan of one of my buddy's basses and played in a music video, and then after that we decided that I was going to stick around. So
we ended up having our story and our song featured on MTV, which was crazy. I mean, imagine now I was waking up, I was sick or something, and waking up like at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock to like all these emails and texts and phone calls saying, hey dude, MTV wants to do a story on you. Can you get your butt down here and do it? And there I was sick in the guts, like this is crazy. You know, how it's kind of just blowing up for us. And you know, that song kind of made me believe that, you know, I could probably, you know, have a career as a songwriter. And I think it was an eye-opener for all of us as a band, you know, just that we could probably do something with this.
no, I think that was a bit of an eye-opener for all of us actually. And when we were asked by Layla Baudouin at NTV News to do an interview with them, that's when it really took off. We were featured on the evening news hour, and then we had people from the industry contact us about you know, conferences that were on the go, and some pretty high industry professionals that produced some great artists like Michael Jackson. So it was an eye-opener for all of us, and I think we were all surprised.
And then COVID-19 happened, and you know, I think we were like 3 days out from doing our first headlining show at the Knights of Columbus, and it was going to be a ticket event with Tom Pinson, first of a few. I think we had like a leg of 6 or 7 shows for the spring and summer, you know, and that just kind of got canceled, kind of got just thrown out the window when everybody's schedules kind of just got ruined. And you know, we've kind of been inactive ever since. But I mean, we took this time to focus on ourselves as people, as musicians, and you know, just work on this album for nothing else, just, you know, for the books, if anything, and you know, really build our songsmanship and our craft in being a band, and just seeing where it goes. And I remember getting a call from Evan Murray, who is actually an organizer for this festival called Live at Heart, and we had this personal invitation to get bussed down to Buren and do an export buyer showcase for, you know, record label execs, show promoters, artist developers, you know, you name it. We had the opportunity to do that, and of course that got canceled with COVID-19 as well. So that's kind of sad, and you know, it's kind of discouraging. But you know, we finally got around to making some more music, and just gonna see where this goes.
Writing Riverside Drive and just writing original music in general was just something that we were doing for ourselves more than anything else. We never really did have any intentions on sharing it, especially at the level we did and the platforms we did. And we just got to writing, and Peter introduced myself into writing original music, and that was a big deal for me. It was just different, and I had kind of had a little bit of a knack for it, and it definitely changed the game. And like once we had the song wrote, and we said, wow, this is actually a good song. Like, this isn't just us just screwing around and coming up with random stuff off the top of our heads. Like, this is a well-written song. So we pooled a bit of money together, and we said, how cool would it be to do it and record it proper and have people be able to listen to our stuff? And so yeah, that's what happened to that, and we didn't think much of it up until the release, and then as you all know, it kind of blew up, and we were definitely taken aback by it because it was unexpected. And yeah, we didn't expect any of this, but here I am talking to you about a new album coming out, which is absolutely bananas.
Our record was produced by Seven View Studios, so that's in Springdale. It's ran by Clint Curtis and Steve Clark. They do amazing work. They do music production, web developing, all that good stuff. Hit them up for any of your needs. They've been really good to us.
So the album was produced by Clint Curtis. And I have so much to say about Clint, and all good things. Clint is the Bob Rock, he's the Bruce Fairbairn, the Mutt Lange of Newfoundland, in my opinion. And that's not to step on anyone else's toes, but Clint just makes it his mission to be a part of your team, a part of your brand, a part of your sound. He is just creativity just flows out of him. And I relate to him a lot and look up to him. We share a lot of the same interests, but you know, when he's working with a band or an artist, you know, for us, it's like he's the fifth member of our band. He's the other guy in the room that's like, okay, boys, like, okay, do you want this? Do you want that? Maybe this could work for us, you know, work for the song. And he really makes it his mission to help us out. And he's really been able to achieve this sound, this classic rock, but borderline country, borderline pop kind of sound that we want on our records, on our songs. And, you know, he really brought that specialness out of us, you know?
So this album is a collection of music probably written. There were some songs there that are older than Riverside Drive, and there was parts of some songs that we wrote that we were writing as we were going into the studio. It's just a mix of all of our minds just coagulating and coming up with different stuff and using all of our influences. Peter loves to coin random terms and random genres. You may have heard backyard rock thrown around. That's Peter's doing, just because he has an obsession with genres, and something got to be a specific thing and its own thing, and that comes in handy sometimes, but other times it's like, Peter, let's just write music.
Something Carter likes to make fun of that I say a lot, and that's that we are considered backyard rock, and that's a term I kind of coined just to explain how we're this mix of genres, right? We're this mix of pop and roots and rock and country and all these influences. So when you hear our record, it's really just this eclectic mix of our personalities, of our influences. I mean, I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan, okay? I'm a huge fan of classic rock and 80s rock, and you know, all about the hook, all about the chorus, the catchiness, you know, that's my thing. Whereas, I mean, the other guys, I mean, they're into folk and they're into metal and they're into you know, country and different other influences, and we've really been able to bring out everybody's specialty in the band and in our songs, and that's really special.
You're like a tattoo, a heart-shaped stain that I'm used to. Memory fades to the cold blue, all the fine lines. And honey.
That was kind of an impromptu jam. As I just finished telling you how nitpicky we are with our songs, this was wrote within an hour, 2 hours maybe. We were just taking a little 5-minute break there at a rehearsal one time, and Marcel still had the guitar in his hands like he often does and just makes random noise, and he was coming up with something, and Marcel's famous for not remembering what he comes up with on the guitar. So I sat behind the drum kit and just played some like cymbal ride pop punk kind of thing, and Peter literally just pretty much rapped the chorus of Tattoo off the top of his head right down in there, and that song remained unchanged for a while. And we what we actually sat down and took the time to do was just to make sure that our verses made sense with that chorus that Peter just came up with right there on the spot. So from the first time Peter sang it and we played it, it pretty much stayed the same ever since.
Tattoo is probably the newest song on the record and of ours. It's different from the rest of them because the rest of them kind of got this classic rock kind of vibe, but Tattoo is like this love child of, you know, pop country and pop punk. You know, when you listen to the drums and the way the chorus kind of just breaks out, it's like this early 2000s, late 90s, you know, angst, you know, shining right through that song. And I remember thinking about this story about, you know, this girlfriend, this lover that your first love that you've had for a long time, and how, you know, she's left her mark on you like a tattoo or like a, you know, some kind of stain on your body. And that, to me, that was a really cool metaphor, you know, that, you know, maybe you grow up, maybe you live different lives, but you always remember your first love, or that girl next door, or the guy next door that you grew up with. And adolescence and growing up and young love. That's kind of been some of the themes in our music and in our lives. So it's really special to write that one.
That's just about how the first person, it comes in different parts of your life. Just the first person you genuinely feel a connection with will always leave a mark on you, and a permanent mark, and shape you for the better or for the worst. And that's kind of where the term tattoo comes in. Like, no matter how that relationship went, if that was the first time you genuinely felt something real, then that will always stay with you no matter what happens. And yeah, that's definitely it's about a girl, as a lot of our songs are, but it's that's another positive, really positive way of just looking at just everyday life stuff.
Show me the light. I don't feel a spark. Somebody somewhere out there. Rolling their fingers through your hair. They're blowing up your phone and I don't care at all. Searching for something rare. Somebody somewhere out there. Somewhere out there.
Somewhere Out There is probably, if any song on the album, this is the Screw You song. This is the song that's the breakup song, the I could be doing better off without you. We've tried not to write about heartbreak and not to write about love, because we feel like a lot of bands do that, and we kind of want to be a band that talks about life, but you can't really talk about life and not talk about the hardships and the breakups and the bad times. And somewhere out there, there's somebody that you loved, or someone that did you wrong, and maybe you don't care, maybe you've moved on, but they're still a part of your life. And
Yeah, so Somewhere Out There is just about, it is about a relationship, as many songs are, but it does go a little bit deeper than that. It's just about recognizing that you had someone that you don't have anymore, and there's a little bit of jealousy in there, but more than anything else, it's just rising above that. It's just, there's someone out there and that's with you right now that I'm not, and I kind of don't really care about it. You know what I mean? It's kind of just a swagger attitude to have about a not so great aspect of life, I guess.
Alright, I might not be a rockin' man, but I sure know how to rock and roll with the wind blowing in my hair.
Living the Dream. So Living the Dream is a song we actually wrote before Riverside Drive. We wrote that one before Riverside Drive. I remember coming home. I remember showing up to Carter's house. I think this was right when we were still writing Riverside Drive and playing this song. And it kind of started from a joke, because I know whenever I ask Marcel or Carter, how they are or what they're doing, they're like, "Oh man, I'm just living the dream."
Living a dream is a saying that I say when somebody asks us, "How are you?" or "How's your father?" or whatever. Well, this is it, boy, living a dream. And we kind of step back and said rather, "Hey guys, we are living a dream. We got 4 best buddies here, jammed out and shit. We got good jobs, vehicles, house, or a roof over our head, rather."
So it kind of started as a joke, but I thought, that's kind of a cool way we could really sum up our band. And it's the song is kind of just a summary of who we are as people. There's always going to be small-minded people that don't believe in your dreams and don't believe in you and don't support you. And while there's a lot of you that do support us and do support a couple young guys making some music, there's still a lot of people that don't see the vision and don't see the idea. And maybe we're not going to be scientists, maybe we're not going to be rocket men, as the song says, but we sure know how to rock and roll, we sure know how to have a good time, and that's what matters to us. So it's kind of this narrative of that, maybe one day, who knows, you'll hear us on the radio and think differently.
In this wild world full of 10s and 9s, most of my life I must have been a 5. Hey!
Must have been a 5's a different type of song than what we're used to writing, actually. I think the idea stemmed from us wanting to sound like Springsteen a little bit, and Peter had something in mind already at that point, so we just built on what he had written and put our own little groove on the Must Have Been a Five song, but it makes you get up and want to move around.
Must Have Been a Five is a bit different for us. It's actually not written from our point of view at all, but we can surely relate to it. When I studied music business in school, and one of my courses was a songwriting course. And one thing they tried to teach us was to get into the habit of writing from another perspective, and write from a point of view that's not yours, maybe from the point of view of a different artist of your choice. And for this assignment, I chose Bruce Springsteen, and I think at the time, especially with the release of Riverside Drive, we were kind of embodying this very Springsteen-like character to our music and to our band. And so I chose him, and I kind of came up with this narrative and this story of, maybe there's a guy that, regrets some things in his life, in his past. Maybe, he was a punk kid, maybe he didn't do things properly, didn't do the right thing all the time. And if he had his time back, he would change that. So the song says, if I could, I'd cut the past with a knife. I'd roll it over, let the memories die. In this wild world full of 10s and 9s, most of my life I must have been a 5. And so yeah, it's basically just talking about regrets. And sometimes, you gotta live through the hardships, you gotta live through the bad times, to get you where you are now. And yeah, it's been definitely a fun one for sure.
Life to Live was actually the first song that I was on in the band. It started, I believe, Peter and Carter and Marcel already had most of the parts written for that one, and then of course obviously they didn't have a bass part at that point, so I just came in and I was fresh at playing bass, so I just came up with this, what I thought was a pretty cool bass groove, and we built on that to complete the rest of the song, because there's always obviously patchwork to be done with songs when you write them. But I like that one because, of course, obviously it was the first one that I was on, but that I think it speaks to a broad audience, and that everyone's got a life to live. But I just thought the song was pretty groovy itself.
All my life I've been waking and waiting for a light in this dark world we're made in. Ignite my heart on the night of your bad dreams. I was lost, but tonight you could save me. I'm waiting.
That is, as you hear the album, that is definitely kind of on its own as far as the musical tonality of it and the whole theme of it. And that is a song that is super interesting in how the lyrics and the instrumentation works with each other. The song's about waiting, and we, along with Clint, he had this great idea. Clint and Peter this was kind of their little brainchild. They just had the idea of kind of leaving the music vague and just out there, and just kind of hang stuff around and not really go in and just leave people expecting, because the song is about waiting, and it kind of feels while you're listening to the song that you're just waiting for something to happen, and it kind of never does. And that was the artistic licensing that Peter and Clint came up with.
Waiting is the last track on the album, and it's a song I wrote start to finish one night. I think I got home from St. John's. I think I was out here for rehearsals with the guys, and I might have got in around 11 or 12 at night. And I remember staying up till like 2 or 3 a.m. like I often do. And this song just kind of poured out of me, kind of start to finish. These words came to me about this story about this guy and girl, and how you're in a toxic relationship, and sometimes that person isn't always right for you. And sometimes in a relationship we're kind of waiting for the good moments to come that never do, or sometimes you're waiting for or anticipating something bad to happen, and we're all kind of just longing for that emotion, some kind of emotion to happen in our lives. And sometimes our lives feel motionless and comfortable routine, and you're just kind of waiting for that moment. You know, and it says, you know, all my life I've been waking and waiting, you know, for a light in this dark world we're made in. You know, we're waiting for that special moment, that special connection with someone that sometimes we don't always get. And yeah, it's kind of really touches me, especially.